My obsessive childhood friend drugged me unconscious. After one wild night, I died miserably in bed. After being reborn, to stop my childhood friend from becoming obsessive, I taught her core socialist values every night. Just as I secretly rejoiced that she was no longer obsessive, she quietly hugged me tightly from behind. "Big brother, you seem a little naughty today." At that moment, 8-year-old me sat on our couch, sighing heavily. A child was crying across the hall. It was Ruan Yaoxi. It was already the 5th time she had been beaten and scolded in recent days. That's right. I had been reborn, back to when I was 8. I glanced at the door across the hall, then solemnly told my mom as she came out of the kitchen, "Mom, how about we move? I don't think this place is clean." Before I could finish, Mom reached out and swatted my head. "You little brat. Don't talk nonsense. All you ever watch is Pleasant Goat. And now you're talking about something unclean. Honestly, have you finished your summer homework?" As she spoke, she could not help glancing at the door again. She murmured, "That poor child. Such a sweet little girl gets beaten every day." I scoffed inwardly. "Save your pity. A sweet little girl? When she grows up, she'll kill me." Ruan Yaoxi's home life was awful. An alcoholic father, a mother who ran away. All that remained was a broken little girl. As far back as I could remember, the little girl across the hall had always cried. She was always dirty. So at school, she was often rejected and isolated. The children mocked her, saying her mother did not want her, that she was an unwanted child. Though Ruan Yaoxi and I were neighbors then, I never bullied her. But at school, I never approached her either. Thinking of that, I could not help sighing. After all that, how could Ruan Yaoxi have fallen from me and even kidnapped me? As I pondered this, Mom sent me out to buy soy sauce. I secretly used my allowance to buy cotton candy. The moment I reached downstairs, just as I was about to take a bite, I saw Ruan Yaoxi, the pretty little girl. Her face was covered in bruises. Her eyes were red and swollen. Her lip was split. She wore long sleeves in summer, and every patch of exposed skin was scarred. The instant I saw her, my body instinctively recoiled in fear. A cold sweat drenched my back. After she drugged me, she had her way with me for a full day and night. Then the first died in bed. How could I not be scared? As if she sensed my gaze, she suddenly looked over without expression. I met those cold, indifferent eyes. The terror of being at her mercy in my past life was almost impossible to suppress. My mind went blank, and I slowly held out my hand, offering the huge pink, cloud-like cotton candy to the little girl. "Want some?" She froze. The chill in her beautiful eyes went still, then melted into confusion and uncertainty. At last, the girl before me revealed a strangely sweet smile. She held out her scar-covered hand, and trembling slightly, accepted from my hand the cotton candy. "Thank you, big brother." Only when she eagerly took a bite did I finally breathe easier. I hurried past her, eager to get upstairs. But soon, I heard soft footsteps following behind me. I turned and met those bright, wide eyes. When Ruan Yaoxi saw me stop, she offered me the cotton candy. "Big brother, do you still want some? I only had a little. Eat this side. It's clean." She spoke softly, full of hope. She looked so pitiful and endearing. I stared blankly at the sweet, gentle girl before me. I truly could not understand how she could later become so obsessively unhinged. Just as I was about to refuse, footsteps sounded upstairs. Mom had noticed I had been gone too long, and came out to look for me. That was when she saw Ruan Yaoxi. She immediately noticed the injuries on Ruan Yaoxi's body. Pity flashed across her face. She swatted my head. "Are you asking for it? You're even snatching your little sister's cotton candy." At the sight of an adult, Ruan Yaoxi instinctively tried to step back. Seeing that, I quickly shouted, "Hey, the stairs are behind you." But it was too late. Ruan Yaoxi tumbled down the stairs. Mom let out a small scream and hurried to help her up. "Yaoxi, are you all right?" Thankfully, the stairs were not high, but a fall like that had to hurt a child so small. Yet Ruan Yaoxi did not make a sound. After Mom helped her up, she only looked at the cotton candy, now dirty on the floor, with tears welling in her eyes. The sight broke Mom's heart. She quickly scooped the tiny girl into her arms. "How about Annie takes you to see a doctor?" Ruan Yaoxi flinched. She seemed terrified. "I won't go. I don't have money. They'll contact my dad. If Dad sees me, he'll hit me." Mom fell silent for a moment, then said gently, "It's okay. My husband is a doctor. Honestly, in my past life, even at 26. I had never seen Mom this gentle. Then I saw Ruan Yaoxi in Mom's arms, looking over Mom's shoulder, her eyes fixed on me. I pulled a face at her. Stop staring. You're scaring me. After we went inside, I immediately pointed at Ruan Yaoxi, sitting on the couch, and explained, I bought that cotton candy for her. I did not get a single bite. Hearing that, Ruan Yaoxi immediately stood up. Trembling, she apologized softly. I'm sorry. I won't dare eat it again. Mom quickly said in a gentle voice, Yaoxi, don't be afraid. Annie will not scold you. Your brother gave it to you, so eat it. It's all right. My feelings were complicated. I was supposed to stay away from her. So, why did we bring this little psycho home? As I watched Mom tenderly apply medicine to Ruan Yaoxi, I suddenly remembered my past life. Back then, Mom had cautiously asked, what if Mom brought the little girl from across the hall over to play with you? I had answered with utter disgust. I do not want to play with her. Nobody at school likes playing with her. If I play with her, the other kids will not talk to me anymore. Thinking back on my childhood self now, then looking at Ruan Yaoxi, covered in wounds, who trembled silently as the medicine was applied. Back then, I truly deserved to die. Originally, I thought there was no grudge between Ruan Yaoxi and me. But thinking about it now, as a cold-hearted bystander, I seemed to be the one who crushed her hopes too. No wonder, when she had me tied up, I heard her ask in confusion beside the bed, why can't I be your little sister? I envy you so much. How about I become your wife? Then we would be family too. At that thought, I sighed softly. I turned and took out all the snacks I had secretly stashed away. I opened them and handed them to Ruan Yaoxi. Have some first. My mom will have dinner ready soon. Her cooking is really good. But Ruan Yaoxi did not dare take them. She reflexively glanced at Mom. That cautious little look made my heart ache. Mom shot me a glare, took the snacks from my hand, and placed them in Ruan Yaoxi's hands. There now. Eat. It's all right. Then she looked at me. Xuanxuan, come with me. I followed Mom with my head hanging low, certain I was about to get hit. I just hoped she would not spank me this time. After all, I was already 26. Instead, Mom merely pulled me into a room. She asked softly, Xuanxuan, do you want a little sister? I froze for a moment. I remembered how I had refused without hesitation in my past life. If I did not refuse her in this life, maybe she would not become a psycho later on. If she did not become one, then I would not have to die. Besides, I was 26 now, watching a little girl get beaten every day. I truly could not bear it. So I nodded silently. Mom sighed in relief. She had not expected me to be so sensible. So Mom rewarded me with 10 yuan. Then she took Ruan Yaoxi back to her place to get some clothes. But Ruan Yaoxi thought she was being sent away. Her face turned pale. She looked at me in the bedroom doorway with a complicated expression. Mom noticed she kept looking at me, and assumed she relied on me. She simply pulled me over. Yaoxi, do not be afraid. Your brother and Annie will go with you to get your clothes. Your dad just went out, so he probably will not be back soon. How about you eat and sleep at Annie's house tonight? At that, Ruan Yaoxi's eyes lit up. She carefully reached out and tugged the hem of my shirt. She spoke softly and earnestly. Big brother, my hands are not dirty. I looked at her and sighed softly. Let's go. When we opened the door, a foul stench hit us. The couch in the living room was crooked, and the table was broken. The television on the stand was covered in cracks. There were bloodstains on the floor, too. I thought of the injuries on Ruan Yaoxi's face. Then her small hand gripping mine suddenly tightened. I thought she was scared, and was about to turn and comfort her. But I saw her cold expression. Her gaze rested on the bloodstains. There even seemed to be mockery in her eyes. That expression did not suit someone her tender age at all. A chill ran through my heart. Could she already be a possessive little psycho? If so, wouldn't I be letting a wolf into our home and putting Mom and Dad in danger? Then, I saw Mom take Ruan Yaoxi by the hand and lead her to the balcony to pack her things. She did not have a room. Whenever her father was home, she had to live on the balcony. They called it packing her things. But there was really nothing to pack. Her clothes had long since stopped fitting her. Her mother had bought them all when she was 5. Since her mother left, no one had provided those things for her. Mom's heart broke for her. She had thought Yaoxi always wore long sleeves to hide the wounds on her body. But it was because her short-sleeved shirts no longer fit. Mom looked at Ruan Yaoxi sadly. Annie will buy you new ones. You can stay at Annie's house for now. when your dad comes back." At that, Mom hesitated. Ruan Yaoxi said obediently, "I'll come back. And Sue, I won't let him find out." Dad was a doctor. When he came home from work, he treated Ruan Yaoxi's wounds. The poor child had nearly been beaten to a pulp. Thankfully, after checking her bones, he found nothing seriously wrong. Ruan Yaoxi even comforted Mom then. "I know to curl up tight, so he won't hit my head or bones." Hearing that from an 8-year-old child, even though I was somewhat afraid of her, I could not help feeling sorry for her, much less Mom, whose heart already ached for her. That night, even my chicken drumstick ended up in Ruan Yaoxi's bowl, but Ruan Yaoxi thoughtfully picked up the drumstick and put it back in my bowl. "Big brother, you eat it." My feelings were a mess. I felt both pity and fear. However, when Mom said Ruan Yaoxi would sleep with me, every bit of my sympathy vanished. I looked at Ruan Yaoxi beside Mom. "Mom, boys and girls aren't supposed to share a bed after 7. We're both 8. It isn't appropriate." Mom said helplessly, "There are no spare rooms. Your dad and I will buy a bunk bed tomorrow. Tonight, make room for your sister." Mom knew this decision was somewhat inappropriate too. My eyes went wide, and I said firmly, "Then I'll sleep with Dad. You two can sleep together." But after saying that, I grew worried again. What if Ruan Yaoxi hurt Mom? She looked so frail right now. But I could not take that risk. Mom was just about to agree when I said, "No, she should sleep with me instead." "Ruan Yaoxi, come here." Ruan Yaoxi obediently came over. She looked at me and said, "Big brother, I don't move when I sleep." I said irritably, "Fine, sleep then." "Mom, you should go to bed too." Seeing how irritable I was, Mom grew concerned. She told us to get along well and not fight, then left. In the end, Ruan Yaoxi and I lay on opposite sides of the bed, with a wide gap between us. I planned to stay awake all night, afraid she would kill me once I fell asleep. The person beside me carefully turned over, and I abruptly rolled away, straight onto the floor. Ruan Yaoxi froze for a moment, then hurriedly asked, "Big brother, are you all right?" I watched her warily. "What were you doing just now?" "My back hurts and itches, so I wanted to turn over." I stopped moving. I looked at her. She bit her lip, then cautiously glanced at the doorway. Lowering her voice, she said, "I can sleep on the floor. I used to sleep on the balcony at home too." "Big brother, let me sleep on the floor." I looked at the little girl before me. Ruan Yaoxi was very pretty. Thinking about it now, the reason she was bullied at school was probably, in part, because she was too beautiful. Even with her face covered in bruises, she was still beautiful. I could not help thinking of the wounds across her back and body. Her father had whipped them into her with a belt. Fresh wounds overlapped old ones. Some fresh wounds had not been properly treated because of the heat, and had begun to fester. I tried telling myself that the Ruan Yaoxi before me was different from the one in my previous life, the crazed Ruan Yaoxi from back then. But in the end, I could not convince myself. I sighed. Feeling frustrated, I said, "You sleep on the bed. I'll sleep on the floor. Otherwise, Mom will smack me again tomorrow." But Ruan Yaoxi shook her head. "No. If Annie sees it, she will probably think badly of me." Thinking of how carefully she had been watching every step since coming to our home, I finally sighed again and climbed onto the bed. I patted the space beside me. "Sleep here. If you don't want to sleep with me." She looked at me with her doll-like eyes. Before she could finish, I cut her off. "Hurry up and get on the bed. I'm tired." In the end, the little girl carefully climbed onto the bed. She curled up in a tiny space in the corner. I simply stopped looking at her, turned over, and faced away from her. I thought I would not be able to sleep, but in less than 10 minutes, I had sprawled out like a starfish, sleeping soundly. Ruan Yaoxi, on the other hand, kept her eyes wide open, too afraid to move. Only when she heard my steady breathing did she carefully shift her body. She slowly moved closer. Her eyes held a tangle of emotions. As she watched me sleep, her face remained expressionless. Ruan Yaoxi was filled with astonishment. Usually, the moment I saw her, I would turn and leave. I would never go near her. But today, I had not only given her cotton candy, I had even brought her home. She slowly turned her head and looked around the room. Her eyes were full of affection. Whenever she was beaten in the past, she would crouch by the doorway and always hear the lively sounds from my home. Aunt Sue scolding me talking back, and the television playing. But Aunt Sue's scolding was completely different from the violent shouting and beatings in her own home. Ruan Yaoxi often saw the chubby boy from across the hall. Even though he was already so big, his father still carried him home on his back. His mother bought him watermelon in summer and roasted sweet potatoes in winter. Though she scolded him, she bought him every good thing. The chubby boy had many friends at school too. Everyone liked him. Actually, Ruan Yaoxi liked him too. She remembered that, when they were little, he had shared his candy with her. He had even held her hand and taken her to play in the snow. But after her mother left, everything changed. He and she became people from two different worlds. His life was happy and whole, while she was like a stinking pest in a gutter. He was just happy. He was so happy that just looking at him made her feel warm. She could not help thinking, how wonderful it would be if I were part of their family too. She had never imagined she would truly be brought here. At that thought, Ruan Yaoxi looked at me and softly called, "Big brother." She extended her scar-covered fingers, wanting to touch my plump, pale face, but she felt that she was too dirty. In the end, she only dared to reach through my clothes and gently poke my little belly. That soft feeling finally made her reveal a trace of the childlike smile of simple, playful delight. Just as she was about to lie back down, I suddenly rolled over. My arms and legs landed heavily on Ruan Yaoxi. At that age, I was a pale, chubby little kid. That weight was no joke. Ruan Yaoxi could barely breathe, and the wounds on her back throbbed under my weight. But she did not dare move, afraid I would wake up if she did. Just as her face was turning red from holding her breath, I suddenly wrapped my arms tightly around her, like I was hugging a body pillow. Ruan Yaoxi froze. The last time someone had held her like this while she slept was when her mother was still around. Slowly, she nestled her little head against my chest. In her heart, she softly whispered, "Good night, big brother." It was a little like the story her mother used to tell her, the little match girl. Though this warmth might be fleeting, she still longed to be a little closer. The next day, Mom woke me with a slap on the butt. "Jiang Zhe, have you lost your mind? You nearly flattened your little sister." I yelped and opened my eyes, only to see Mom cradling Ruan Yaoxi like a treasure. Still dazed, I had no idea what was happening. When I heard Ruan Yaoxi earnestly explain, "It's okay, and Sue, big brother was probably worried I would be cold," I silently complained to myself. It was summer vacation. It was 86 to 104 degrees Fahrenheit every day. Now I was sure that body pillow last night had been Ruan Yaoxi. I watched Mom lift Ruan Yaoxi's shirt to check her back. Mom shot me a glare first. I felt that ever since Ruan Yaoxi arrived, I had lost all standing in this family. Still, I leaned over for a look. Luckily, I had not rubbed against her wounds much. I breathed a sigh of relief. Then I snapped, "Couldn't you wake me up or push me away?" Instead, she gave me a sweet smile. But when Big Brother held me, I did not have nightmares. "Thank you, Big Brother." I froze at her words. No way. She really was kind of adorable as a child. A tough guy like me could not handle that. I really wanted a little sister like this. But how did she become so different later on? After breakfast that day, Mom went out shopping with Dad and Ruan Yaoxi. I was left home to catch up on my summer homework. When the three of them returned at noon, Ruan Yaoxi had changed into new clothes, and her hair had been trimmed. She came over and slipped a piece of candy into my hand. She whispered, "Big brother, I hid this one, and Sue and the others do not know." After saying that, she looked at me with those bright, doe-like eyes. Seeing the expectation in her eyes, this tough guy's heart melted. I glanced at Mom and Dad, who were in the room discussing how to assemble the bed. Then I took the milk candy from her hand, unwrapped it, and quickly stuffed it into Ruan Yaoxi's mouth. I muttered, "Only kids like this stuff." The candy wrapper must have been too loud. Mom suddenly turned toward me, "Shouch, were you sneaking candy again? Do you want to ruin your teeth?" She marched over menacingly as she spoke, but Ruan Yaoxi quickly stepped in front of me. With her mouth full, she said, "Aunt Sue, it wasn't Big Brother. It was me." Mom was stunned. Then she looked at me in surprise. "My boy has grown up. He does not eat candy anymore." Seeing Mom's astonished expression, I said helplessly, "I do not like candy anymore. I'm not a little kid." Ruan Yaoxi nodded adorably beside me. "Big brother is very good. He does not eat it." At that, I gave the ridiculously adorable little psycho a complicated look. Over the next few days, we shared a room and became bunk bed roommates. Mom kept me home to finish my homework. While we were home together those days, Ruan Yaoxi did pretty much anything I told her to, without questioning it at all. If Mom came home and found my homework unfinished, I did not even need to make an excuse. Ruan Yaoxi would step in front of me and explain for me. She always began with Aunt Sue. It's all my fault. Whenever Mom saw her like that, her heart would melt. So, how could she possibly blame her? Still, though she was young, I felt she might be a little too good at playing innocent. I was not entirely sure. So I would have to keep watching. However, after spending every day together for a while, I really was not like I had been when I first came back. I no longer had such a stress reaction to Ruan Yaoxi. She was just a well-behaved, and a little cute, too. Before long, school was about to start. On the first day of school, Dad took both of us there. He repeatedly reminded me, Yaoxi's injuries have only just healed. Look out for her. But Ruan Yaoxi said earnestly, Uncle, I will protect Big Brother. At first, I thought she was just trying to act sweet as usual. But she truly meant it. It started when we entered our new classroom. We were in Class 1, Grade 3. In elementary school, you stayed with the class you were assigned to in first grade. I noticed that Ruan Yaoxi, who usually clung close to me, slowed down after entering the school and lagged behind. She chose to follow behind me instead. I deliberately slowed down too, but she did not catch up. I had a pretty good idea why. She was keeping her distance to avoid gossip. And so, we entered the classroom one behind the other. The moment I reached my seat, a disdainful voice suddenly came from beside me. You cannot sit here. Little beggars belong in the trash heap. Ruan Yaoxi's new backpack was tossed down by the girl standing across from her. At that moment, she stood beside the seat next to mine, her head lowered so no one could read her expression. I could not help frowning. Ruan Yaoxi was clearly beautiful today. She wore the new little dress Mom had bought her, with her hair tied up neatly, her delicate features making her look like a doll. Yet they still called her a little beggar. Seeing this made me feel even worse. Ruan Yaoxi heard the other students snickering and saw her backpack thrown on the floor. The new backpack was pink, with Meiyangyang on it. She had loved it the first time she saw it, but then she saw the price. It cost 56 yuan. That was really expensive. So, when she went to the supermarket with me, she only glanced at it twice, then looked away. But after dinner last night, Mom and I went out for a while and came back carrying this backpack. She treasured it dearly. Yet now, someone had thrown it on the ground. Everyone said she was dirty. Ruan Yaoxi's eyes reddened, and a flash of viciousness appeared in them. Suddenly, a plump, pale hand picked the backpack up from the floor. I gently dusted it off. Zhou Xuanxuan, do not go too far. This backpack is new, and you just threw it on the ground. Besides, the seat is empty. Zhou Xuanxuan probably hadn't expected anyone to stand up for Ruan Yaoxi. Her eyes widened. New? Where would she get the money? Maybe she stole it. I had never noticed before that even at this age, some people could be so cruel. To a 7 or 8-year-old child, they could casually call her a thief. Shut up. My parents bought this for her. The dress and backpack. And the shoes, too. Got a problem with that. I stepped in front of Ruan Yaoxi and set the backpack on the seat she wanted. I said gently, Ruan Yaoxi, sit here. The little girl gave me a timid look. Her eyes rimmed red. My heart ached for her. Such an adorable girl. What had she gone through to become the person she would be? Scenes like this today. How many times had she endured them growing up? What are you doing? Class is starting. Find your seats and settle down. Just then, our homeroom teacher, Mr. Lei, barked sternly. The students were all scared of teachers, and everyone quickly scattered. Ruan Yaoxi looked at me beside her. I stood by her like a knight. When she was little, she had once had a knight too. Her knight had looked like her mother. It had been her mother's embrace. Then her mother left. She imagined so many people coming to protect her, but none of them had faces. Before today, they had not. But after today, they did. They had Big Brother's face. I felt her gaze and looked down at her. Just sit tight. With that, I returned to my seat. Ruan Yaoxi pressed her lips together and secretly smiled. It was the first time anyone had stood up for her at school. The first day of school was not particularly special, really, but I was sleepy all day. Thankfully, aside from that little conflict in the morning, nothing major happened for the rest of the day. Well, not exactly nothing. Some classmates, because I stood up for Ruan Yaoxi, seemed to be excluding me a little. Others, like Ruan Yaoxi's deskmate, wanted to be her friend, but she kept her little face cold and ignored every one of them. Yet she was completely different with me. Gentle and soft. So obedient. Doing whatever I said. I had to admit, it felt pretty good. Still, I could not help looking at her. You need to make friends at school, too. They all want to be your friends now. But some of them bullied me before. Ruan Yaoxi followed behind me with her backpack, speaking quietly. Before I could reply, several boys came out of nowhere and shoved me hard. I could not stop myself from blurting out, "Damn it." I fell right by the entrance to a nearby alley. My knees and the hand I had used to break my fall both hurt. They were probably scraped raw. One of the boys stood nearby, smugly, saying, "That's what you get for hanging around Ruan Yaoxi. You're both little beggars. Damn little brats." Gritting my teeth, I prepared to get up and fight. But when I looked up, my eyes nearly popped out of my head. Ruan Yaoxi held up a half brick she had picked up from somewhere, pointing its sharp edge at the boys' leg as she viciously drove it down. Seeing that, I scrambled up from the ground and rushed over to grab Ruan Yaoxi. But the brick still struck the boy's leg. The boy howled and burst into tears. The other two boys were terrified by the sudden turn of events and did not dare move. Ruan Yaoxi was too thin to break free of my hold. So she suddenly hurled the brick in her hand, hitting the other boy beside her in the foot. With a wail, that boy started crying too. I held the still struggling Ruan Yaoxi tightly and said sternly, "Ruan Yaoxi, do you want to drop out of school?" At that, she quieted down. Then I roared at the three little brats, "Keep crying, and I'll tell the teacher. You three ganged up on me." I shouted loud enough that the boys instantly stopped crying. After dealing with them, I glared fiercely at Ruan Yaoxi in my arms and said, "Once I let go, don't move, or I'll tell my mom." She behaved herself after that, but her eyes still burn with hatred for those boys. How dare they bully Jiang Zhe? I'll make them pay for it. If not today, then next time. In the end, the three boys ran away with red-rimmed eyes. I walked up to Ruan Yaoxi. My voice was cold. "If I hadn't stopped you, what were you planning to do?" "They bullied you," Ruan Yaoxi said quietly. I took a deep breath, about to comfort her, when I noticed her hand trembling slightly. I quickly took her hand. There was a fresh cut across her palm, still oozing blood. "Seriously, you got hurt, and you didn't say anything." My tone came out sharp. She flinched instinctively at my words, then softly apologized. "I'm sorry." I took Ruan Yaoxi by the wrist and led her forward, my voice a little cold. "Don't throw bricks at people again. If you'd hit them with that, what would you do if something happened to them? Quit school? What if they called your father?" Ruan Yaoxi stayed silent. She only stared at the hand holding hers. She did not hurt at all. Even being pulled along by me made her happy. When she did not respond for a long time, I turned to her. "Did you hear me?" Ruan Yaoxi nodded obediently. "I heard you, big brother." Anyway, she did not need a brick. She could use something else. After we rode home, we were the only ones at home, so I had to tend to her while myself. I looked at the little girl before me, my tone serious yet gentle. "Don't be so impulsive again. Protect yourself first." Like today, they did not fight back. Otherwise, who could you possibly beat? But Ruan Yaoxi looked up at me and seriously said, "It's okay if they bully me. I can endure it. But if they bully you, I won't allow it." She held out her injured hand and tightly clasped mine. "Big brother, I'll protect you." I froze at her words, warmth flooding my heart. "Little sister, I'll protect you too." This semester, Ruan Yaoxi had a whole new look. She was still distant, but she had a few girls to play with now, and even some boys. At that moment, I was slumped over my desk, thinking about Ruan Yaoxi from my past life. In my memories, she was quiet, a little dirty, and seemed gloomy all the time. Yet she was an excellent student, by all rights. Teachers usually treated good students with a little more kindness. She should not have been isolated for so long. It was all because Ruan Yaoxi, when she was in first grade, came to school drunk and caused a scene. After that, nobody dared get involved. Everyone was afraid of crossing that thug, Ruan Yaoxi. Then she never even made it to middle school. The summer after 6th grade, she was sent to the hospital covered in blood. That was the time Mom went and knocked on their door. I heard she was nearly beaten to death. Where she went after leaving the hospital, I did not really remember. Then later, I met her on a blind date. I vividly remembered Ruan Yaoxi on the day of that blind date. The moment she appeared, she completely captured my attention. Her features were exquisite and coolly beautiful. though her makeup gave her eyes and brows an aloof look. The instant those doe eyes looked at me, they were filled with laughter and innocence. I was an innocent young man back then, and my heart instantly began pounding. And she gently called my name, her voice soft and sweet. By then, my memories of Ruan Yaoxi had grown hazy, but she was exceptionally good with people. By bringing up our childhood, she quickly closed the distance between us and put me at ease. When she said, pale-faced, that her period had come early and that she lived nearby, then asked if I could take her home, I hesitated briefly. After all, I'd seen the messages between that woman and Mom, but I never imagined she had come prepared. Just as I drank the tampered water and was about to pass out, I received a message from Mom. Shush. That girl was hit by a car after work. She can't make it today. You'll have to meet another time. The good news was that I at least knew I'd been tricked. The bad news was that I realized it too late. It was not until the next day, after realizing the trouble I was in, that I learned Ruan Yaoxi might have been fooled by fake medicine too. Then she sat silently by the bed, gently caressing my face. Suddenly, she smiled and picked up the knife on the table, without hesitation. Now, when I think about being discovered in my past life, possibly naked with her, and perhaps ending up in the news together, it makes me furious. She could have at least put some clothes on me. Suddenly, something was gently said on my desk. My voice was a little sharp. What are you doing? Ruan Yaoxi's eyes widened. She gently set the red bean slush she was holding on my desk. I bought this for you. Only then did I notice that sweat covered her forehead and neck. Her face was slightly flushed. The red bean slush in her hand was sold at the school store in limited batches during summer lunch breaks. You had to line up to buy it, and it cost 3 yuan a cup. As far as I knew, Mom only gave each of us 5 yuan in weekly allowance. It was already Thursday, and I had spent all of mine long ago. Yet Ruan Yaoxi had bought me a red bean slush. Ruan Yaoxi pushed the red bean slush toward me. She whispered, I was wrong. I shouldn't have woken you up. I really shouldn't have. I sighed. I took the straw, pierced the lid, and handed it to her. Ruan Yaoxi froze. She softly said, I bought this for you. I could never bring myself to buy one for myself. Drink it, hurry. Everyone will see us in a minute. I frowned at her. I had actually meant to give it all to her. Ruan Yaoxi looked at the straw held to her lips and cautiously glanced at me. Though I looked fierce, she knew I was not truly mean. She had grown up under Ruan Daishan's beatings and abuse. She had seen every kind of expression and could clearly tell who truly cared for her and who was merely pretending. Ruan Yaoxi blinked, then took a small sip of the red bean ice dessert. She smiled and said, It's really good. Her smile was sweet. Her doe eyes curved slightly, and the corners of her lips barely lifted, as if she were a little shy. Looking at the adorable, shy Ruan Yaoxi, I felt even more troubled. Do you want some? You can have it. So I handed her the red bean ice dessert. But she looked upset. A little flustered, she said, I'm sorry. Do you think it's dirty because I drank from it? Expressionlessly, I took back the red bean ice dessert and took a sip. I said irritably, Enough. Sip properly. Seeing that I did not mind drinking after her, Ruan Yaoxi was thrilled. She was even more excited than when she pointed a knife at Ruan Daishan. Jiang Zhe is so good to me. It would be wonderful if he could always treat her this well. Then she would be very good to him too. No one was allowed to bully Jiang Zhe, and no one could take him away from her. School had been in session for nearly 2 months. I kept feeling that something was off. After school that afternoon, we sat on the bus together. I asked Ruan Yaoxi, Has your dad ever stayed away from home this long? It's been almost 2 months. I still haven't seen Ruan Daishan. Last night, I even heard my parents saying how strange it was. Ruan Yaoxi, clutching her backpack beside me, stiffened. After being carefully looked after at my home these past weeks, she had grown fairer and filled out. She was much prettier than she had been a month ago. Her fresh, lively appearance was utterly adorable. I didn't want her going back to suffer her father's beatings and abuse again. I thought that if Ruan Daishan came back, I would hide her first. After all, I was just a child. If I got caught, I would only get scolded. Besides, Ruan Daishan might not even find out. I covered the hand rubbing her backpack strap. Don't worry. If he comes back, I'll hide you. Ruan Yaoxi froze at that. Hide her? Shouldn't he ignore her and make her go home? Everyone in the neighborhood feared Ruan Daishan. When he went berserk, he'd even take a dump outside people's doors. Ruan Yaoxi thought Ruan Daishan was not human at all. He was an animal. Animals belonged in a slaughterhouse. At that thought, Her gaze turned cold. A faint killing intent gleamed within it, yet the hand holding hers was warm. The boy's voice was gentle too. Hey, we need to solve this at the root. I just haven't figured out how yet. For now, hide. You can't get hurt again. I thought I should go home and ask my parents. The main issue was that, in my current body as a child, there was nothing I could do. A man like Ruan Yaoxi must have done something illegal. After all, he was arrested when I was in middle school in my past life. I just didn't know the exact reason. At the time, I didn't know that this unintentional act had saved Ruan Yaoxi once. The girl looked at her hand in his. Now, someone cared about her. She couldn't die alongside that animal Ruan Yaoxi. However, as soon as we arrived home, we understood why Ruan Yaoxi had not returned. A beautiful woman stood outside Ruan Yaoxi's home. The woman looked at Ruan Yaoxi and called, "Sweetheart." But Ruan Yaoxi remained expressionless. Instinctively, she hid behind me. I instinctively shielded her too. The woman's face went a little pale. She looked deeply awkward. Her gaze settled on me. "You're Xiao, right? Do you remember me? I'm Yaoxi's mother. Aunt Chen." I thought. Who would remember you? Still, I called her Aunt Chen. Chen Hu let out a breath of relief. Then she looked at Ruan Yaoxi. "Yaoxi, Mom has something to tell you." Just then, Mom came up from downstairs after work, carrying groceries. "Yaoxi, Xiao, why are you standing in the stairwell? Come inside. There's watermelon in the refrigerator." Then her voice caught. She cried in surprise. "Chen Hui, you're back." In the end, all four of us went inside. Ruan Yaoxi never spoke to Chen Hui. Whenever Chen Hui tried to take her hand, Yaoxi dodged away. Chen Hui was so embarrassed that she didn't know what to do. Mom sighed. "Xiao, take Yaoxi to your room to do your homework. Bring the watermelon in and eat it too." After entering my room, I deliberately left the door slightly open. I pressed myself against it and eavesdropped. Just as I was listening intently, a small voice sounded beside my ear. "Do you really want to hear what they're saying that badly?" I jumped. "Damn. You nearly scared me to death. Jiang Zhe, if you keep using that foul language, I'll smack you. I'll check your homework later." I yelped. "Got it." Then I pinched Ruan Yaoxi's little cheek. "Try scaring me again." Ruan Yaoxi did not dodge. She mumbled, "Sorry," looking into her innocent doe eyes. I sighed. "Don't you want to know what your mom is saying?" "What difference would it make if I knew? She doesn't want me anyway." Ruan Yaoxi's tone was flat. Chen Hui had not returned once since she left over a year ago. She knew what kind of man Ruan Yaoxi was. She also knew what Ruan Yaoxi might be suffering. Yet she had cruelly abandoned her daughter. In the days after I was reborn, I heard Ruan Yaoxi beating her as he cursed. "That bitch you call a mother doesn't want you anymore. You're just as filthy as she is. Go find her." "Ha ha ha. Doesn't she not want you? She thinks you're just like me. She doesn't want you. Who else would want you?" I was not really a child. I remember those words clearly. Hearing her casually say that her mother did not want her either, I couldn't help saying, "How will you know unless you try? Maybe she's here to take you away this time." My past life had gone smoothly. I was full of hope for life. So those words came naturally to me. "Big brother." I went looking for her. She had found herself a rich boyfriend. When she saw me, she looked as though she'd seen a ghost. Maybe she never expected me to still be alive. That man was shocked too. "That child is hurt." But she said not to get involved. She said it might be a scam. Then she pulled him away. Ruan Yaoxi spoke simply. But I gripped my pencil tightly. How desperate she must have been then. How much courage it must have taken to seek out her mother. But reality hurt her even more than Ruan Yaoxi's beatings and abuse. "No one will want me," Ruan Yaoxi whispered. Her long lashes hid the emotions in her eyes. "She won't want me this time either." "Don't say that," I said. "My parents really like you. They practically wish you were their own daughter." My heart aching for her, I stroked her head. "You're just a child. Don't be so pessimistic. You've just had rotten luck. You suffered so much before you turned 8. From now on, your life will get better and better. Everything will be all right." At that, Ruan Yaoxi looked up at me. Her eyes sparkled. "Really?" I nodded. I said firmly, "Really? Then you won't abandon me, will you, big brother?" She pressed softly. Her fingers gently clutched the hem of my shirt. The question felt a little strange to me, but seeing that she was close to tears, I nodded anyway. "Don't worry." I truly could not understand it. How could anyone abandon such a pretty, well-behaved daughter? No one in that family was normal. Where I could not see, Ruan Yaoxi's lips curved faintly. Kind people are always easy to fool. I'll make sure no one else deceives Jiang Zhe. Meanwhile, I was thinking, the more I learned about Ruan Yaoxi, the more I understood why she became that way in my past life. It was already no easy feat that she had grown up at all, let alone staying on the right path. In this life, I would do my best to help her become a good, upstanding young woman.